So what is a hybrid camper? Who is it for? Who is it not for? And what are its pros and cons? Spoiler alert, there are way more pros. Welcome to Yakety Mac, y'all. My name is Jeff, and if you are new to the channel, let me say the majority of content that I post is related to kayak fishing. However, every now and then I will deviate some and talk about something else that I have an interest in, and today that happens to be my hybrid travel trailer. So what is a hybrid? Well, it is a cross between a tent trailer, aka pop-up, and a travel trailer. It kind of takes the best of both worlds and combines them into one. So who is a hybrid camper for? Well, it's for someone that wants a smallish camper, something that's maybe less than 4,000 pounds towing weight, but offers up as much space as possible. The hybrid excels in maximizing space while saving on size and weight. Who is it not for? Well, if you want to store this in a garage or under a carport, you're really not going to be able to. You're going to have the storage room for something like this because on the outside it is the same dimensions, both length and height, of a standard travel trailer. So unlike a pop-up, where you could probably store it in most garages or underneath carports, you're going to need the same storage space that you would for a traditional travel trailer. So let's talk about its pros and its cons. And I'm going to start with the pros because it's a long list and it's the fun list. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the outside of the camper because in reality, it's exactly the same as virtually any travel trailer. You've got your awning, you've got your water inlets, your power port, your drain valves for your gray tank, your black tank, your freshwater filled tanks, your flush valves, all that sort of stuff is the same as any other travel trailer. The real magic happens on the inside. So here are some pictures of just how much usable space that you've got on the inside of this. This is 18.5 feet long. And I'll throw the tape measure up here so you can see this. Usable space is over 14 feet long. And what I mean by usable space is that it is not gobbled up with a bed, even a Murphy bed. You're going to have to put it up every day. You're going to have to set it down. You're not going to have the kind of usable space in a traditional travel trailer that you will have in a hybrid, even if you have slide outs, which, by the way, adds more weight and it also adds more failure points mechanically. You are just not going to have this kind of space. It's got a dinette set that will easily seat 4 people. A couch that can lay down and sleep people. The dinette can also sleep people if you want to. I'm going to get to the dinette more here in just a moment. You've got refrigerator, good size, plenty of storage cabinets, a stove, a microwave, all of the creature comforts, even your little TV here. And we hooked up a little old school Nintendo for a little entertainment in the evening sometimes when we wanted a break from sitting next to a fire or whatever it might be. And so the usable space inside of this thing is where it really sells itself. The bed ends, because they pop out on the end of the camper, you're not confined by those. You can leave them out all day long. You can fold one end in, you can fold 2 ends in. If you're not going to use one end, you could still lay it out and let that be a lot of clothes storage for you, or storage of whatever gear it is that you're going to take out with you and explore the campground, whatever it might be. The usable space inside of this thing is what really sells the hybrid over a traditional travel trailer or even a pop-up style trailer as well. And it's heated, you've got air conditioning, all the creature comforts that you can want are there while still getting somewhat the camping experience. Now, it's not roughing it like it would be if you were in a tent or overland camping or something, which, by the way, is really intriguing to me, but that's for another time. This particular camper, I think the gross towing weight is like 3,800 pounds unloaded. I think it'll take up something just a little over 1,100 pounds of cargo if you wanted to load that on there. So I easily pulled this with my F-150 that I had, and I've got a Ram 1500 now to pull this thing with no problem at all. Now, I know it's back there, unlike the pop-up that I had before, which I couldn't even feel that thing back there. I know this one is back there, but it still pulls without any problem at all. Another advantage to the hybrid over, say, just a standard pop-up is its setup time is very minimal, almost identical really to a travel trailer, especially if you've got one with a Murphy bed or something, depending on whether or not that Murphy bed travels in the up or the down position. But laying out the bed ends, it is quick and easy. As you can see here, it's just undo a couple of latches, lay it down. You go to the inside, hook up your support bar, push it out. You're done. And you throw on your bedding or something of that sort. It really takes no time at all. Everything else about the camper is exactly the same as any other travel trailer. You fill your toilet up with water and you fill up your hot water and you start warming that up. Everything that you would do in a normal travel trailer, you would do in this one here. It's the sleeping accommodations that really make all the difference. One of the things that I absolutely love about this camper is the fact that I do not have to use the dining set or the couch for that matter for sleeping arrangements. You can easily sleep 2 people on each end, and if they're small children you could put 3 on one end or whatever. So you can easily sleep 4 to 5 people in a camper such as this without having to use the dinette set or the couch as sleeping. Now, if you're going to take more with you, you can certainly use those, and you could sleep somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 or 8 people in a camper this size, if you're willing to use those things. I like it because I'm an early riser. So even when I'm out camping, I'm up before the sun. And if you want to sit there and have a cup of coffee, you can do so because it's not being used as a bed. Great thing about the hybrid trailer too is it's got storage for days. It's got closed closets and cabinets for food and drawers, and you can even store things within the oven because you, again, not gobbling up a lot of space with a bed, which in a typical travel trailer, I challenge you to find an 18-foot travel trailer where you're going to be able to find 14 feet of usable, livable space. So the storage options are really great in a hybrid as well, underneath the dinette set, underneath the couch. All the cabinetry, bathrooms a good size as well for a camper, especially an 18.5-foot camper. And that's really what we get back into is that you have a ton of space in a relatively small camper. 18.5 feet is not large at all. Now, you get smaller, you can go teardrop if you want to, but you're not going to get the space in those type of campers. Even if you look at something like the R-Pods, which I think are fantastic looking campers, your livable space inside of those is not much at all. A hybrid is definitely an advantage over something like an R-Pod. The very first camper that I ever bought was a Flagstaff pop-up camper, and that was in 2018 or 2019, somewhere around there. And I loved the thing. It was a great camper, so lightweight, so easy to maintain, but it was a bit of a hassle when it comes to setting up and tearing down. The hybrid is much, much faster at both of those things, and it's much easier to keep the tent material dry. So if I had to list a couple of cons, and believe me, there's only a couple, it would be related to the sleeping arrangements. And here's what I mean by that. Because it is a sunbrella, it's not nylon tent material. It's just like this exact same material that's used on a pop-up camper. It's kind of a heavy-duty canvas vinyl. I think they call it like a sunbrella type material, waterproof, very durable material, but it's not highly insulated. So in a traditional travel trailer where you've got insulation on all 4 walls, there's not going to be your typical insulation on those bed ends. And so if you are camping in extreme conditions, whether that be extreme hot or extreme cold, you're not going to have that R value of insulation. Now, it's got the heat and it's got the air conditioning, and you can do things like heated mattresses or even heated blankets or whatever that might be to help minimize that kind of stuff. but it doesn't have a real high insulation value. And sometimes if you're camping in extreme conditions, you'll notice that. If you don't have to use both ends of the beds, one of the things you can do to help with insulation is keep one end folded up. Another con could be condensation, especially for those of you who are in an area where humidity can sometimes be quite high. The sunbrella material gets condensation on it, and if you have to pack up and come home, say kind of early in the morning before it has a chance to evaporate with the heat of the day, you need to do your best to try to dry that material off. If you're not able to, then at least when you get back to where you're going, or you get home or to your next destination, pop those ends out and let that material breathe. Otherwise, you're going to have the possibility of like some mildew, and you get the little brown stain rings or something like that on there from just where condensation sits and doesn't get an opportunity to breathe. Now, on a pop-up trailer, you have the exact same sort of issue, except when you get to where you're going, you have to set the whole thing up again and let all of it air out. Here it's just your bed ends and really takes no time at all. But those are really the only two cons that I can think of. You know, the lack of insulation can sometimes mean that you hear more noise than what you typically would at night if you're trying to sleep. Maybe if a dog is barking in the campground somewhere, or you've maybe got some traffic coming in and out, you're going to hear that a little bit more than you would in a typical travel trailer. And that's where a nice set of earplugs and maybe even one of those eye masks can come in handy as well. Not a deal breaker at all, but I'll list it as a con. It doesn't matter to me. Now, the wife, sometimes it matters, but I could sleep through just about anything. From a maintenance standpoint of a hybrid, it's the same as any other sort of travel trailer. You want to make sure that every so often you recaulk your windows and those sort of places where water can get in. As far as water leaking in on the bed ends, that's not been an issue. I've not had any issue with that at all. And in fact, I think hybrids are better than traditional travel trailers in the sense that if you've got a leak in a traditional travel trailer, especially on the ends, you may not notice that because it's usually going to happen within the walls. And so perhaps you don't notice until it is too late and you've got some major repairs that need to be done. If you develop a leak in the ends on a hybrid, you're going to notice that right away because those are your sleeping quarters, and you're able to address it and fix it before it becomes a major problem. Okay guys, so I'm not going to ramble on any further. I just wanted to hit on some of the highlights and share my love for this style of camper with you. I've only had it, I think, for about 4 years or so, and it's not like I'm a camping expert. You know, we take it out a handful of times a year, but I know enough about it to answer any questions that you might have about my thoughts on anything of it. So by all means, if you've got something that I didn't address in this video, leave it in the comments below. And then do me a favor, if you would, please hype the video. It's kind of a new thing on YouTube. You see a little thing there that says hype. It doesn't cost anything to do it, but you hit it and it helps to promote the video. And then also leave me a thumbs up if you would on that like button. Leave me a comment. And then subscribe if you're not a subscriber, especially if you also enjoy maybe some kayak fishing adventures, because that's what I do the most of. And share this video if you feel so inclined. Thank you guys again. And hey, look, no matter what you've got going on in your life, I hope you will always take a little time to get outside and play.